Hi everyone, welcome to today's jazz guitar lesson. In today's lesson I'd like to explain how to play the Bossa Nova comp rhythms on guitar and give you a brief intro into that style of comping. If you'd like to follow along with today's lesson, if you look below this video, there's a link to an article on my website which has all the stuff we're going to be talking about in today's lesson in full notation as well as in tab. So if you wish to follow along with the lesson, you can pause this video, look underneath this video and get that web page up and you can follow along with what we're going to be talking about. So the first step in learning this Bossa Nova comping style is to feel comfortable with a Bossa Nova rhythm. And the Bossa Nova rhythm that we're going to be checking out in today's lesson, there's a lot of them, but just for this example, the rhythm is 2 quarter notes, an eighth note on the end of 3, an eighth note on the end of 4, then in the next bar we've got an eighth note on the end of 1, eighth note on the end of 2, quarter note rest, and then a quarter note rhythm. So if you want to see that, if it makes it easier, I have got an article which has all the stuff we're going to be talking about on my website if you want to go and check that out. So we're going to look at playing this rhythm with the metronome first, and we're going to be using one chord which is a C minor 9 chord. That's the chord we're going to be looking at. So I'm just going to put the metronome on, and what we're going to do is just look at playing the chords. Don't worry about the bass line. We're going to try and play the chords on the rhythms that I've just explained. So I've got the metronome on 103 beats per minute, nice and slow. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the first comping rhythm, which sounds maybe a bit strange by itself. But you'll see how this makes sense. You'll hear how it makes sense when I start to add a bass line. But if you are having trouble with this rhythm, one thing you can do is to clap it out first, or just not use a chord at all. You can just use your right hand and do downstrokes. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one thing you can do if that would make it a bit easier. So anyway, when you begin to feel comfortable with playing the chords on the beats that I've written out, we can start looking at a bass line. And now Bossa Nova bass lines are very simple, but they're quite effective because we've got this syncopated comping. We have quite more of an on-beat kind of Bossa Nova rhythms for bass lines, and the bass line I'm going to be using today, all it goes is C, G, C, G. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of like a country bass line, but it's not really. But it's the same notes, but we combine these Bossa Nova rhythms, it does give a different feel. So the bass line once again, C, G, C, G. So that's just a root to a fifth below. And now the last thing to do when we can play the bass line by itself is to try and add that with the chords. So 1, 2, 3. And now there is some right hand stuff going on there, so I'm just going to pause for a second and switch to my right hand so you can see what I'm doing there. Okay, so with this Bossa Nova comping style, there's basically two main right hand techniques that guitarists tend to use. The one that I prefer to use is using thumb and fingers, and we're just going to be using that C9 chord again that we looked at a few minutes ago. And what I do is I play the bass note with my thumb, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I use these 3 fingers. I use my first finger on the D string, second finger on the G string, and then my third finger on the B string. So I've got the most of the chord there. And with the bass line as well. It sounds pretty good. Now, one other method you can use is to use a pick, and use that for the bass line. But personally, I don't like using doing this as much because obviously the pick takes a finger and a thumb to use, and that means that you can only get 2 notes of the chord. So I can only play the B and the G string. So I'm not getting the E flat there, the minor third, which is an important note, which you kind of want to hear in the chords. So personally, I do prefer to use thumb and fingers, but you can use whichever method suits you. So once you begin comfortable playing that one C minor chord, I'd suggest try moving it to a different chord. You can maybe move it a fourth higher. So if I do 2 bars on C minor 7 and then 2 bars on F minor 7. And then we could have maybe a 2-5-1 in C minor 7. And there, when I'm moving to the different chords, I'm still doing the same thing. Root and 5th bass line. Root, and this will be a flat 5 because it's a D minor 7. Then on the G7, I am sometimes on like a G7, on like this drop 3 kind of chord, I might just have the root by itself. So it's a bit tricky to get a good chord with the root in as well. It doesn't sound quite as good. One last thing I'd like to say about this comping style is don't worry about having smooth voice leading between the chords. It's more important to try and keep a steady pulse going throughout the chords. So that's why if I'm comping over like the progression that I just mentioned there, when I've done C minor for 2 bars, instead of going to this F minor 7, I'll go to this one up here because I can keep that bass line going, that root to 5th. One thing I would really say is try to avoid sliding, or if you've got round wound strings like me, you want to try and take your entire hand off the chord and then put it at the same time, because otherwise you'll get slides and that can sound quite annoying sometimes. So try to keep the movements quite smooth by taking your fingers off the strings and then moving them down as you pluck the strings to hit the chord. Thanks for checking out today's jazz guitar lesson. I hope you enjoyed the stuff I taught in this lesson. If you did, please give this video a like, and if you subscribe to my channel you can get notifications when I have new jazz and blues guitar lessons. If you'd like to learn more about comping techniques and jazz chords, I've got an ebook available on my website called 30 Days to Better Jazz Guitar Comping, which has a good 30-day program to really get your chord and your comping chops up to the next level if you're interested in looking at that. So thanks again anyway for checking this video out. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.